Our guest this evening has been here before. He's an multi-instrumentalist himself and a marvelous singer and interpreter of song and teacher. Please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Donald Maguire.
I hardly recognize myself there. I've a neat slated house, a cow or two to grass. There's a herb garden running by the door. I've a shelter for the hens, a stable for the ass. What could a man want more? I don't know, maybe so. For a bachelor is easy and he's free. But I've lots to look after and I'm living all alone. And there's no one looking after me. Now me father often tells me that I should have a try to find a girl that owns a bit of land. And I know the way he says it and the look that's in his eye, that me mother's got the whole thing planned. I don't know, maybe so, but 'twould mollify them greatly to agree. But it's little Bridgie Flynn, sure it's her I'd love to win. But she never has an eye for me. Now there's a little girl that is worth her weight in gold, and that's a handsome dowry, don't you see? And I mean to go and ask her if ever I get bold, if she'd only have an eye for me. Maybe so, I don't know, but I'd love to have her sitting on my knee, and I'd sing like a thrush on a hawthorn bush, if she'd only have an eye for me. Bridgie Flynn. Thank you. Well, that's a little song written by Percy French. To be honest, I never thought I'd be singing Percy French songs at any stage. He's perhaps responsible more for the setting up of this sort of stage Irish persona that I really wouldn't have too much in common with. But I thought that song perhaps needed a different, or could do with a different interpretation from the one the Flanagan brothers gave it 80, 90 years ago, which went something like that. Anyway, there's room for that too, perhaps, you might argue. But it's interesting that song deals with the sort of something that permeates so many of the traditional songs, I think probably in most societies, you know, the obsession with owning land and disputes to do with property, whether in the big ballads or indeed or in more local songs. But I'll sing, what I'll try and do here, I come from County Louth on the east coast, I'm from Drogheda, but my father was an economic migrant to England, and we followed. I was dragged kicking and screaming at the age of 16. Anyway, but I'll sing some songs from my local area with a bit of help from you guys. I'm sure you'll be joining in the refrains. And I'll start with a little song called Johnny and Molly that I got from a man called Petey Curran, who lived about 3 or 4 miles from Drogheda. And it's very, very similar to the format. You know, he's gone away, his girlfriend implores him not to, and so on. And your bit goes, darling, farewell, if you feel like singing, that is. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. Lam bum bum bum. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. That's your bit. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. Lovely. Johnny and Molly, they sat reposing under a bank of blooming roses, while on the quay the ships were waiting. This young couple sat repeating, love, farewell. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. Oh, Johnny dear, now do not leave me, for your absence it would grieve me. For if you go where the cannons rattle, I greatly fear you might fall in battle, love, farewell. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. Oh, Molly dear, now do not mourn, for there's a relief at my returning. When I come back from the walls, alarm, I'll gently roll you in me arms, love, farewell. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. The old woman says, now do not wrong me, do not take my daughter from me, for if you do, I will torment you at my death. My ghost will haunt you, love, farewell. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. The ship now she sails on the stormy ocean, seeking out on high promotion, while the trumpets sound and the drums are beating. March me, boys, for there's no retreating, love, farewell. Darling, farewell, and it's all for parting love, farewell. Well sung. Thank you. Now, when Dean was reciting that impressive list of forthcoming guests, he included Len Graham, who's an old pal, and I learnt this song from Len probably about 30 years ago, and it's appropriate that it should have come from Len. Len's from the Ulster Scots Brigade north of the border, and you can tell, like, songs like the one I'm going to sing wouldn't have been sung in good Catholic Ireland, because you don't have carry on, you don't have strong-minded women like that who tell their husbands what to do. Indeed, there's not too many songs indeed where women tell their husbands what to do. A song called The Airy. I hope you're not suffering too much from the glare. So it's the airy bachelor as opposed to the hairy bachelor. Neither am I. I don't fit either camp, I'm afraid. And Len seems to think that this song would have one of the many Scots songs that infiltrated the Irish tradition. When I was a bachelor, young and airy, oh, but my life was content. I got me a wife to lie by me, which causes me to lament. For when I get home so wet and weary do I come. My wife, she lies in bed till 11, the longest day in the month of June. And the first half year that I was married, sure I never got a wink of sleep. She tore me feet till the blood it trickled, saying, husband dear, put down your feet. But when I asked her that one question, it's husband dear, now come, come, come. Young women, you know they must have pleasure. Poor man's labour is never done. And the second half year that I was married, she brought to me a loving son. And she lays me there to rock the cradle and gives me kisses when I've done. But if he cries, she bites and scowls me. So if he bawls, I'm the first to run. I'm away from the hag with the coat and the breeches. Poor man's labour is never done. So come all you young men, pray take a warning, and don't forsake your single life. And don't take home my wife's sister, or she'll plague you all your life. And don't take home my wife's mother, or she'll plague you even more. You can take me, wife, and welcome, and all me troubles will soon be o'er. Can I steal this? Hey. Well, there we are. This is a Stefan Sobel mandolin. Hey. Now then, spoiled for choice here. Right, I'll sing a song. Let's do this one as well, I think. And many thanks to Dan here for kindly lending me these two wonderful instruments. Now, I don't have to tell you about the dreadful state of the Irish economy. And I suppose, like so many, I was naive enough myself to think that it's not just the Irish economy, but they've suffered particularly in this latest belt of recession. But I used to, when I'd sing this song, I would, and it's probably the finest example of emigration songs, or what was referred to as the American wake, where people, certainly in the west of Ireland, they would leave, to migrate to North America, whatever, Australia, the UK, and it would arguably be the last time that their family would see them, because the chances of returning from wherever the hell they'd gone to were probably quite slim. And I used to dedicate this song and introduce it and dedicate it to the myriad of Eastern European labour that would be serving you pints of beer or serving you your breakfast or your dinner or whatever. Kids from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Lithuania, Latvia, all the rest of it, doing the jobs that the Irish wouldn't do. But I find myself introducing it and saying, well, these are for the 1,000 a week that are packing up and getting out of Ireland as we speak. Come all you young men, pray draw near now, and listen to these words I say. I'm going to tell you that the people of Ireland are emigrating to America. Yes, indeed, they're emigrating. This poor country they can't stand. They're putting their foot on board of a ship, sailing off to the Yankee land the night before they're due for sailing. All the neighbours around their house do throng, just to take a parting glass, otherwise to sing a song. They dance all night till early morning, each man cutting all around the floor, until the mother comes in weeping, saying, take your children to the door. Yes, indeed, they're emigrating. This poor country they can't stand. They're putting their foot on board a ship, sailing off to the Yankee land. The father, he stands in the cabin. He knows he is all alone. His poor heart is fit for breaking. His salt tears would melt a stone. Yes, indeed, they're emigrating. This poor country they can't stand. They're putting their foot on board a ship, sailing off to the Yankee land. The other day as I went walking down the road I chanced to go, I saw a crowd towards me approaching. It nearly filled me heart with woe, For there were the carriages and coaches coming, onward, forwards to the train, and the handkerchiefs were waving, bidding farewell to Granuaile. Yes, indeed, they're emigrating from the land they love so dear. And any man that isn't married, it's devil a wife he'll find next year. And when we reach the New York harbor, our friends will greet us with good cheer, saying, how's our Ireland and how's she doing? How's she coming on this year? She's the most distressed and cursed nation that the world has ever seen. All she's fit for is process serving in that little Isle of Green. Yes, indeed, they're emigrating. This poor country they can't stand. They're putting their foot on board a ship, sailing off to the Yankee land. Thank you. That song I learned from Frank Hart, who died sadly 5 or 6 years ago. Frank had an amazing collection of songs and a great character who'll be sadly missed indeed. In fact, I'll sing one of his songs, a song that I learned from a recording Frank made of this piece about, 30 odd years ago. And it's a song called Johnny Doyle, and it was written by a fellow called Jimmy Montgomery back in the 1930s. And it sort of takes the mick out of, there's room for this sort of profanity, I think. It takes the mick out of the broken token song format. You know, the sort of usually a bring that's broken? No, a ring that's broken. And she takes half and he takes half and then he disappears. It's always he who disappears and puts her to the test. And she passes the test, they live happily ever after. That sort of sexist sort of carry on. But it takes that sort of notion and also the idea of women dressing up as, in this case, a sailor. And just the whole sort of ballad format, really. And it's a healthy sort of disrespect for it and comical along the way. But particularly the last verse, I said, Frank, this last verse, I don't know, this seems to have your name on it, really, your sort of imprimatur. No. And I said, you protest it too much, I think. And I'd swear that he wrote the last verse. But anyway, it's The Adventures of Johnny Doyle. Now, it kicks off in Dublin in the days when O'Connell Street was called Sackville Street and O'Connell's Bridge was called Carlisle Bridge, and let me see, there's no other. Anyway, most of the action, I said, kicks off around St. George's Quay is just up from. Those of you who've been to Dublin, it's all in central Dublin, near Butt Bridge, the one that the train goes over, into Amiens Street Station. Anyway, so The Adventures of Johnny Doyle. Lam dam deedle dam ba dam bam ba dam. Ye sons of Dan O'Connell's Guard, come listen to me doleful ditty. It's all about a sailor lad whose birthplace was in Dublin city. Me song is just to demonstrate a story with a pious model that starts around Be Carlisle Bridge and ends up on the Isles of Coddle. Well, a schooner sailed from George's Quay, 'twas southward bound one sultry season, and on the shore a maiden cried and wept like one bereft of reason. Oh, Johnny Doyle, me love for you is true, but full of deep contrition. For what'll all the neighbours say about me in this sad condition? The capstan torn, the sails unfurled, the schooner scudded down the Liffey. This maiden gave an awful shriek, she was a mother in a jiffy. The vessel passed the harbour bar and headed out for foreign waters, to China, where they're very wise and drown at birth their surplus daughters. Well, years and years have passed and gone, and Mary's son is self-supporting, and Mary's heart is fit to break when this young buck goes out a-courting. And so says she on one fine day, he'll go and leave me melancholy. I'll dress myself in sailor's clothes and scour the 7 seas for Johnny. She sailed on board a pirate bold that raided on the hot equator, and with these hairy buccaneers there sailed this sweet and virtuous creature. The captain thought her name was Bill, her situation was precarious, consorting with these heinous bays whose manners they were most nefarious. It was in the Saragossa Sea, 2 rakish barks were idly rolling, and Mary on the middle watch, the quarter deck she was patrolling. She idly viewed the neighbouring ship, and suddenly became exclaiming, for there upon the gilded poop stood Johnny Doyle in gorgeous raiment. Well, they're happy now in Sweet Ring's End, the jewel that sparkles on the dollar. He leads a quiet merchant's life and does a trade in oats and fodder. Be marriage lines, she's Mrs. Doyle, she runs a stall of periwinkles, and when Johnny hears one's on the way, show the single eye with joy it twinkles. Well, they're happy now in Sweet Ring's End, and Mary's heart sings like a linnet, for Johnny's calmed that wild young buck that taxed their patience to the limit. They're happy now in Sweet Ring's End, no more they'll sail for foreign waters. For Johnny Doyle, his hands are full with 5 strong sons and 5 fine daughters. Johnny Doyle. Thank you. Now then, banjo time. If I can find the plectrum. So. Now this instrument, I'm often asked what the connection is with Irish music, but the Flanagan brothers I alluded to earlier on, one of them played tenor banjo. I suppose that was probably the introduction in the 1920s in this country. And they've been annoying people ever since at sessions up and down. With all the accompanying jokes that I'm sure you've had. The definition of perfect pitch, you know? Lobbing a banjo down a well without it touching the sides. That's the... And so on. There are as many banjo jokes as there are drummer jokes. So. A couple of jigs that, again, I learnt from somebody else who got him, well, it has been mentioned in the course of the evening, from Jackie Daly, when he played with the late, lamented Seamus Cray. Thank you. Now, something completely different. Sean Moan from Cady in County Armagh writes fine songs, and this is one of the finest in my opinion. It's called Jack Campbell, and it's about, well, it's beautifully constructed, dare I say. I guess it's for you to make your mind up, but it tells a huge story in 3 little verses, and it's about Northern Ireland, and it's about the, sort of the tragedy of an ordinary sort of Joe Soap, really, whose mind his own business, you know, and gets caught up in this horror. And those of you who've been to Ireland, maybe seeking out this sort of, dare I say, this sort of presentation of music, you might have to look far and wide. And what you will trip over, of course, is a lot of people more associated with or identifiable as coming out of Nashville than coming out of Ballyvorney in County Cork. So this is affectionately known as country and Irish music, which is very similar to both kinds you get here, to quote from the Blues Brothers, country and Western. So anyway, I'll just sing the song. Jack Campbell and Rosalita. In a barroom in Belfast, singing into a pint glass, Jack Campbell's in full blast as last orders are called. The bar stool's a Mustang, and he sways as his voice sang of gunfights that once rang round the OK Corral. Now his woman meter he called Rosalita, for he dreamt of senoritas when drink went to his hand. She whispers, hey Hosey, let's me and you mosey where we can be cozy in our own homestand. And away beyond the Black Mountain, street demons they come out to dance, and cowboys who sing songs of gunfights and engines against submachine guns they haven't a chance. Now as homewards they rambled, Rosalita and Jack Campbell called at the Panhandle fast food restaurant as they dance round the chippy, singing yippee-yi-yippee. The crowd in the queue answered yippee-yi-yay. Now the slow car was cruising, its victim a choosing. Jack turned in confusion when he first saw the gun. His last word was "Jeez" as the trigger was squeezed. Jack fell to his knees and the slow car had gone. And away beyond the Black Mountain, street demons had come out to dance, and cowboys who sing songs of gunfights and engines against submachine guns they haven't a chance. Now the years have passed o'er, and behind a closed door, Meta sinks lower and lower on Prozac and gin. Her nights and her days are spent in a haze down an old dusty trail where the good times had been. Once again she's Rosalita, the dark senorita, and waiting to greet her is Jack Campbell, her man. He whispers, come on, let's step into the sunset, for heaven's just a small step from the old Rio Grande. And away beyond the Black Mountain, Rosalita and Jack Campbell dance, where the troubles are an old song, forgotten and long gone, and dreamers can hold on to love and romance. Yes, away beyond the Black Mountain, Rosalita and Jack Campbell dance, where the troubles are an old song, forgotten and long gone, and dreamers can hold on to love and romance. Jack Campbell. Thank you.